quiet town of Alder Creek, nestled between the mountains and a dense, sprawling forest, an air of mystery loomed heavy. Over the last year, a series of mysterious disappearances had rattled the community. 6 residents, including children, had vanished without a trace, and the townsfolk whispered tales of a malevolent force lurking within the woods. Parents warned their children to stay away, sharing the legend of the park ranger who had gone mad after losing his family in a tragic accident years before. Ethan Hale was once a respected park ranger known for his kindness and dedication to the forest. After a devastating car crash claimed the lives of his wife and daughter, Ethan's grief twisted his mind. He withdrew from society, wandering the woods aimlessly, conversing with the trees as if they were his lost loved ones. His descent into madness became the stuff of local lore, and as time passed, he faded into obscurity, becoming a ghost story for the children of Alder Creek. One autumn evening, a group of friends, Sarah, Mike, Jenna, and Tom, decided to explore the woods, driven by a mix of curiosity and thrill-seeking. The tales of the missing residents only fueled their adventurous spirits. As they set up camp beneath the towering pines, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows that danced in the flickering firelight. Laughter and camaraderie filled the air, momentarily easing the tension that hung around them. After a hearty meal and stories shared around the fire, the atmosphere shifted. Jenna, always sensitive to her surroundings, suddenly felt an oppressive weight in the air. "Did you guys hear that?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The others fell silent, straining to listen. In the distance, a soft voice seemed to call out, echoing through the trees. It was barely audible, a sweet, haunting melody that seemed to beckon them deeper into the woods. "Let's check it out," Mike exclaimed, his curiosity piqued. Though Sarah hesitated, feeling an inexplicable sense of dread, the thrill of adventure pushed the group forward. They grabbed their flashlights and ventured into the darkness, the whispers growing louder and more inviting, wrapping around them like a shroud. As they walked, the forest transformed. The once familiar paths twisted and turned into a labyrinth of gnarled roots and low-hanging branches. Trees loomed overhead, their twisted limbs reaching out like skeletal hands. The atmosphere thickened, filled with a tangible sense of dread, but the call of the voice was irresistible, luring them onward. Suddenly, Jenna stumbled into a clearing, gasping as she caught sight of a decrepit cabin half hidden by dense undergrowth. Its weathered wood was darkened by age and its windows were shattered, like hollow eyes watching them approach. The whispers intensified, coaxing them forward. They exchanged nervous glances but ultimately stepped inside the cabin, curiosity overriding caution. Inside, they were met with a nightmarish sight. The walls were adorned with photographs of past hikers, their faces twisted in terror, their eyes wide with horror. Each photo told a story, a reminder of the lives that had been snuffed out in this forsaken place. "What the hell is this?" Tom exclaimed, backing away, his heart racing. Panic surged through the group as they realized the truth. The forest wasn't just a backdrop for their adventure, it was a predator. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind them, echoing through the cabin. Darkness enveloped them as the last light of their flashlights flickered and died. Screams erupted as they scrambled for the door, but it wouldn't budge. From the shadows, a figure emerged, a gaunt man with hollow eyes and a wild mane of hair, resembling the park ranger from the stories. "Welcome, my friends," he croaked, his voice a low rasp that chilled them to the bone. "I've been waiting for you." The friends screamed, struggling against the door, but it remained firmly shut. The man stepped closer, his breath reeking of decay. "You are here to join me," he said, a twisted smile spreading across his face. "The forest has chosen you." One by one, the friends fell silent, transfixed by the madness in his eyes. Jenna tried to reason with him, but he only laughed, a haunting sound that reverberated through the cabin. "They all came here like you, full of life and adventure, and now you will be part of the forest story." In a moment of desperation, Sarah lunged at him, pushing him away, but he caught her wrist with a grip like iron. The others quickly realized the horror of their situation. They were no longer just visitors, they were prey. As Jenna pulled out her phone to call for help, the battery died, plunging them into darkness. The man stepped forward, his voice a chilling whisper. "You cannot escape what is meant to be. The woods will claim you." Panic surged through them as they fought back, but it was futile. One by one, they succumbed to his grasp, their screams echoing through the night. The next morning, the sun rose over Alder Creek, bright and unfeeling. The woods stood silent, the only sounds the rustling of leaves and the distant call of a bird. The town would later hear rumors of the missing group, but the woods would keep their secrets, forever holding the souls of those who ventured too far into its dark embrace. In the heart of a bustling metropolis, an artist named Vincent Kane had gained a chilling reputation. Known as the collector, his artwork captivated and horrified art lovers alike. Each piece, meticulously crafted, showcased disturbing imagery that hinted at a darker reality. It was rumored that his art was not merely created but harvested from the very souls of his victims. Mia, a promising young art student, was fascinated by Vincent's work. She had spent countless nights sketching his paintings, drawn to their eerie beauty and the enigmatic stories they told. Whispers circulated in the art community about the inspiration behind his masterpieces, a dark talent fueled by obsession. When she learned about a rare opportunity to meet him at his secluded studio, her heart raced with excitement and trepidation. Arriving at the warehouse, Mia felt a chill run down her spine. The air was thick with an unsettling energy, and shadows danced along the walls. As she stepped inside, the dim light revealed a chaotic blend of sculptures and paintings, each one more grotesque than the last. The walls were adorned with unsettling portraits, twisted faces frozen in moments of terror, eyes that seemed to follow her every move. "Ah," Mia. Vincent greeted her, his voice smooth yet unsettling. "Welcome to my gallery," he gestured around the room, his eyes gleaming with a strange intensity. "Every piece here tells a story of life, death, and everything in between." Mia felt her pulse quicken as she examined the works, each more macabre than the last. She asked him about his inspiration, and Vincent's smile widened. "Art is a reflection of the human experience. Don't you agree? But some experiences are more visceral." Days turned into weeks as Mia returned to the studio, growing both enamored and increasingly uneasy. She began to notice a pattern in his work. The names of the missing persons in the city sea seemed to align with the portraits hanging on the walls. Each time she asked about a specific piece, Vincent's demeanor darkened, his smile twisting into something sinister. One fateful evening, as the sun set and the shadows deepened, Mia overheard Vincent talking to someone on the phone. "I need fresh material," he said, his voice low and conspiratorial. "The last one didn't capture her essence. I need someone who truly understands the beauty of fear." Fear gripped Mia as she realized the truth. She had been lured into a nightmare, a willing participant in his twisted game. She needed to escape before she became the next masterpiece. As she turned to leave, Vincent blocked her path, his smile now a predator's grin. "Where do you think you're going, my dear? You're the perfect muse. The final touch to my greatest work." Panic surged through her, and Mia dashed toward the door, but Vincent was quicker. He lunged, but she managed to knock over a sculpture, creating a loud crash that echoed through the studio. Seizing the moment, she sprinted down the darkened hallway, her heart pounding. Vincent's footsteps echoed behind her as he pursued her, his voice calling out in fury. "You can't escape the art, Mia." Just as she reached the exit, a terrifying realization hit her. Vincent had anticipated her every move. The door slammed shut as she raced into the street, breathless and terrified. But as she glanced back, she saw him standing in the doorway, a satisfied smile on his face, holding a canvas that now bore her likeness, twisted in horror. Days passed, and Mia couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Shadows seemed to linger just outside her window, and she could swear she heard Vincent's laughter echoing in the silence of the night. She confided in her friends, but they dismissed her concerns as stress from her studies. Desperate to escape, she decided to leave the city for a while, hoping to find solace and clarity. As she packed her bags, a familiar chill swept through her apartment. The air felt heavy, and a sense of dread filled her chest. She glanced at her phone to find a message from an unknown number. "You can't run from your fate, Mia." Panicked, she bolted from her apartment, but as she stepped into the hall, Vincent was waiting for her. He stood there, a menacing figure silhouetted against the dim light, his eyes gleaming with madness. "You thought you could escape? I'm always watching." In a frenzy, she sprinted toward the elevator, pressing the button repeatedly, praying it would arrive before he could catch her. Just as the doors slid open, Vincent lunged forward, grabbing her wrist. "You belong to me," he snarled, his grip like iron. With adrenaline coursing through her veins, Mia pulled free and dashed into the elevator, slamming the doors shut just as Vincent lunged again. She felt her heart racing as the elevator descended, each floor feeling like an eternity. Finally, the doors opened, and she sprinted into the lobby, breathless and terrified. But as she glanced back, she saw Vincent standing there, a satisfied smile on his face. She rushed outside into the night, determined to escape his grasp. As she ran through the streets, she could feel the city closing in around her. But no matter how far she ran, Vincent's shadow loomed in her mind. He had taken pieces of her, and she knew that the darkness would always be a part of her. Even in her escape, she could never truly be free of the collector's grasp. In a forgotten corner of a once bustling town, a dilapidated diner stood as a relic of a bygone era, its neon sign flickering weakly. The locals knew it as Margie's Diner, but they rarely spoke of it. Rumors swirled about its mysterious chef, a man named Victor, who was known for his exceptional culinary skills but equally infamous for the strange disappearances that seemed to plague the establishment. Margie's had a strange allure that drew in the occasional traveler or desperate soul. However, those who dined there seldom returned. Some claimed the food was so good it could make you forget your troubles, while others whispered of a darker reason for the diner's strange charm. Those who dared to enter often left with an unsettling feeling, as if the diner itself was alive, watching and waiting. One stormy night, a weary traveler named Jake found himself pulled into Margie's Diner by the aroma of sizzling meat and freshly baked pies. The rain hammered against the windows as he stepped inside, greeted by the warm glow of the interior. The place was nearly empty, save for a few shadowy figures hunched over their plates, their faces obscured by shadows. Jake took a seat at the counter and was soon approached by a waitress, a striking woman with a knowing smile. "Welcome to Margie's. What can I get you tonight?" Her voice was sweet, but there was an undercurrent of something darker, something unsettling that made him hesitate. As he scanned the menu, the specials caught his eye. The soulful burger and heavenly pie with a curious grin. He ordered both, intrigued by the peculiar names. The waitress winked and disappeared into the kitchen, her movements fluid and graceful. Minutes later, Victor emerged, a tall figure with a wild mane of hair and an apron stained with mysterious substances. He placed a steaming plate in front of Jake, the burger glistening with an otherworldly sheen. "Dig in, my friend. You won't find food like this anywhere else," Victor said, his eyes glinting with excitement. Jake felt a strange sensation wash over him as he took a bite, the explosion of flavors enveloping him. It was as if he had tasted heaven itself. Warmth radiated through his body, and for a brief moment he forgot out the troubles of the world. But soon, a nagging unease settled in his stomach. As he continued eating, he noticed the other patrons around him. They were eerily silent, their eyes vacant as they mechanically consumed their meals. It was as if they were in a trance, lost in the flavors that seemed to hold them captive. Suddenly, Jake overheard a hushed conversation between two diners at the end of the counter. "Another one's gone missing," one whispered. "They say it's the diner. No one ever comes back once they eat Victor's food." A chill crawled up Jake's spine as he realized the truth. He could be the next victim in this twisted establishment. Panic surged within him, and he decided he had to leave before it was too late. But as he rose to his feet, the doors swung shut, locking him inside. The lights flickered, and Victor's laughter echoed through the diner. "You think you can just leave? Once you taste my food, you belong to me." In a frantic attempt to escape, Jake darted toward the back door. But the kitchen was filled with grotesque sights. Strange cuts of meat hung from the ceiling, and jars of preserved organs lined the shelves. Victor blocked his path, brandishing a knife with a manic glint in his eyes. "You're not just a customer, you're a part of the family now," he cackled, lunging forward. Jake fought back, shoving Victor and making a dash for the front door. He burst outside into the rain, the cold air hitting him like a slap. But as he turned to look back at the diner, he saw the figures of the other patrons standing at the windows, their faces twisted into ghoulish grins, mouths stuffed with food, as if they were part of the diner itself. Desperate to escape, Jake ran into the night, his heart racing as he heard Victor's voice calling after him. "You can't run from what you've tasted." With every step, he felt the weight of the diner's darkness chasing him, an insatiable hunger that would not be denied. The memories of the meal haunted him, a siren song that threatened to draw him back into the clutches of the diner. As dawn broke, Jake found himself on the outskirts of town, exhausted and breathless. But even as he escaped, he knew he could never truly be free. The taste of that burger lingered on his tongue, a constant reminder of the darkness lurking within Margie's Diner, a place that devoured souls, one delicious meal at a time. Jake glanced back one last time, and in the distance, he could see the flickering neon sign of Margie's Diner. The glow was dimmer now, but he could still make out the words, "Come back anytime," and deep down, he knew that the diner would always be waiting for him, hungry for more.